There are many mysterious disappearances of people around the world, ranging from simply incomprehensible to truly strange. One of these cases came from the American state of Ohio, where a man went into a bar and did not come out, disappearing irrevocably, as if dissolved in the air. This mystery still remains unanswered. This happened in 2006 with 27-year-old Brian Shaffer. He was a very pleasant young man, intelligent, handsome, and promising. He was a second-year student at Ohio State Medical University, and in addition to academic success, he had excellent relationships with other students. It was considered fun and very popular. Out of personal problems, he had the sadness of his mother's sudden death from a rare type of bone cancer. However, according to his entourage, he endured her loss with fortitude, and this did not prevent him from making plans for the future. In March, he planned to take a break for spring break, as well as go to Miami with his girlfriend Alexis Waggoner. There were no dark clouds on the horizon. On March 31, 2006, during spring break on Friday, Brian had a great time with his father, having lunch with him, and in the evening, he and his friend William Florence decided to take a walk to the student bar called Ugly Tuna Saloon, located in the area of the Southern University campus. While at the bar, Brian called his friend Alexis, who was visiting Rodney in Toledo at the time, and had a little chat with her. He then briefly left the bar for the nearby Arena District, but returned after midnight. By then, another friend named Meredith had arrived at the bar. Brian was having fun with friends at the bar, but at some point he was separated from them and they only remembered him when everyone started to leave. William Florence and Meredith started looking everywhere for Brian, but he was nowhere to be found. At 2 o'clock in the morning, the bar closed, customers began to come out, and Brian's friends also came out and then waited for him at the entrance, thinking that if he was sitting somewhere in the corner, then he would definitely come out. But Brian didn't come out. At the time, their anxiety was not high enough. They decided that Brian had just gone home on his own earlier. However, Brian did not come home that night, and when they started calling him on his mobile phone the next morning, no one answered and no mobile phone calls were heard. Even then, however, his friends were not alarmed. It wasn't until Monday, when his girlfriend, Alexis, arrived to go to Miami with him, and Brian was nowhere to be found, that Alexis and his friends realized that something had obviously happened to him and contacted the police. First of all, the police seized CCTV footage from the Ugly Tuna Saloon bar and viewed it. And then the mystery of the guy's disappearance became even more frightening. At 1:55, that is, 5 minutes before the bar closed, Brian was near the entrance to the bar and got on camera, talking with two women. A little later, at almost 2 o'clock, Brian staggered away towards the entrance to the bar and went inside, never to go outside again. Brian seemed to disappear into thin air. It wasn't even on the camera at the emergency exit. In the days that followed, police identified all the people in the bar that night from their camera records and interviewed them. They were all right, they weren't missing, only Brian was gone. All this was completely incomprehensible. The police calculated that even if he had somehow slipped out from under the security cameras and gone out into the street, he would have been seen by his friends, who were guarding him at the very entrance. Then the police looked at the video surveillance cameras installed on neighboring buildings. And they didn't film Brian Shaffer leaving the bar, either. After that, still clutching at straws, the police searched all the surrounding areas with dogs, checked every dumpster, every bush in the alley, even climbed into the sewer. All they found out was that Brian's car was still parked in the spot where he had stopped before entering the bar. Where could a healthy and strong man disappear without a trace? And for what reason? Someone suggested that maybe Brian disguised himself as a girl and passed unnoticed by friends. But why would he do it, and when and how did he do it if he didn't have any personal bags with him? There was also a version that he was somehow stunned and smuggled out. But again, security cameras in the bar and other houses nearby did not capture anything unusual, no people with huge bags or parcels. The police interviewed all of Brian's friends and acquaintances, his family, his girlfriend, the bar owners, the bar staff. It got to the point that many of them were even forced to take a lie detector test. All for nothing. All this time, Brian's girlfriend, Alexis, was calling him on his cell phone, and each time no one answered. Brian's credit card was also nowhere to be found if it was stolen and someone decided to use it. Strange fate after this mysterious disappearance continued to haunt the Shaffer family. 2 years after the death of his mother, Brian, and the disappearance of Brian's father Randy Shaffer died in a ridiculous accident. During heavy rain and wind, a heavy branch fell from a tall tree as Randy passed, and killed him. The newspaper then posted a strange note in memory of Dad, with love, Brian, but it was considered a hoax. In the years that followed, Brian was allegedly seen alive several times in the same area, but each time the search turned up nothing. What happened to this man? Was this some very clever scheme to hide from everyone? How did no cameras catch Brian leaving the pub? Was he kidnapped by aliens? Did it hit a hole in space? This case has remained one of the strangest disappearances in recent years.